Welcome to Travel Tip Tuesday, where each week a Wild Spirit traveler shares an important travel smart strategy. I am Dan, and today we're going to talk about taking your electronic devices abroad safely, because there is something you do need to know about before you go about electricity, because it's not all the same all over the planet. And this is something that not knowing this can hurt you, as the last thing you want to do when you travel is to fry your smartphone. There are basically two different electric systems in use around the world. On this map, courtesy of worldstandards.eu, it shows the countries that are in green use 110 to 120 volts. But in those countries in red, they use 220 to 240 volt electricity. And these two different systems are not compatible. And what I mean by not compatible is that if you plug in a device rated for 110 volts, let's say a phone charger made for the United States, and if I plug that charger into a wall in Europe, which is 220 to 240, I can actually fry the charger. When someone does this, usually the charger goes pop or snap, usually followed by a little smoke. It definitely fries the charger, but even worse, if my phone was attached to the charger, I could fry my phone as well. And that's the last thing I want to do while on holiday, and that is to fry my phone or my camera. So what I have to do is to check all of my electric appliances to make sure they are compatible. This means not just my phone charger, but my hairdryer, my tablet, computer, anything that plugs in, I need to check. Americans are kind of known for going to Europe and plugging in their American hairdryer, and not only does it fry the hairdryer with that loud pop and smoke, but it usually trips the electric circuit breakers, which can bring down the electricity for just my room or sometimes a whole section of a hotel. So how do we check to see if the device is okay? Well, there's always a label on every electric device sold in the United States, and it's a label that could look similar to this, where it's a Radio Shack AC adapter. If you look on the fourth line, you'll see the word input. The input on this is 120 VAC or 120 volt. So we now know that this charger works in the United States. It does not work in Europe or any of those countries that are in red. So this is a case of if this charger was plugged in, not only would it blow up the charger, it could damage the appliance or your phone or your camera or whatever is plugged into this AC adapter. Now, these labels are sometimes hard to see. Sometimes they all look different, and sometimes they're actually pressed right into the plastic. And a lot of times, the writing is so small, you just about have to get out a magnifying glass to read it. But nonetheless, you have to check to make sure, because you don't want to plug something in and have it blow up when you're on holiday. Now, here's another label, just to give you an example. And here's an AC-DC adapter. And you see on the third line, it says PRI 230 volt. Well, the PRI probably stands for primary input. It's kind of hard to say what it is. Unfortunately, the input can be in different languages. It can be different abbreviations. But in any case, we can quickly see 230 volt. Well, we now know that this works in the in Europe. It does not work in the United States. So plugging in this charger in the United States would be a problem. This would be a great charger to have if you were in Europe. The good news is that recently, in the last probably 10 years, we're seeing more and more adapters like this one, the second line from the bottom, where it says input AC 100 to 240. In this case, this charger can be used here in the United States and in Europe. I would call this a worldwide charger because it works in all the different voltages around the world. Again, we have to check to make sure that it works, that you've got a charger that works. So what do you do if you have a charger that's only 110? Well, my advice would be to go out to Amazon and find a charger like this one. What I did is I put in the name Samsung cell phone, and then I put the model number S6. And then you'll see here that here comes up a charger, $9.47. What you want to do is check the specs of the charger. You can see the picture on the right. It's a little hard to read, but you can see on the second line where it says input, and then over it says 100 to 240. That tells me that this is a universal charger. I can use this charger in Europe. I can use this around the world, and I don't have to worry about frying my electronics. Well, that's this week Travel Tip Tuesday. Now you know what you need to know about taking your electronics overseas. Now, if you have a tip that you'd like to share, the place to do that is on the Facebook group Wild Spirit Travelers. We'd love to hear your tips and suggestions. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a Travel Tip Tuesday from Wild Spirit Travel. Happy travels!